so I literally have like 30 minutes. I work better under pressure and procrastinating, or at least that's what I tell myself. It's the ADHD brain. What are you gonna do about it? Welcome back to the Of Course It Does podcast with me, your host, Savannah Suarez. And I just wanted to take a second to thank everybody for the amount of support that I got with the first episode and with me just starting this podcast in general. I think we're so used to comparing ourselves to other people with like hundreds of thousands of views without realizing that just affecting one person means so much. And the fact that you guys took the time to watch my video, it's 25 minutes of your life that you chose to support me and then reach out to me and tell me how much you loved it or to keep going. And I just wanted to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for all of the support. It was so cool seeing you guys watching me on your TV. Honestly, I'm just so overwhelmed with so much love and support, and I just wanted to give you guys a special thanks because I just really appreciate it. So anyway, into the second episode. Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time. Today we are going to be talking about comparison and how it is the thief of joy. That is 100% like, whoever came up with that saying, thank you, especially with social media, with the amount of perfection that we constantly see pushed in our face all the time. There is always room for comparison, and it's honestly very difficult to not when it comes to anything, not just your looks, but relationships, families, where you should be at certain points in your life. Like, there's just so many things that we compare ourselves to because of what we see somebody else doing, but it's like, that's their life. That doesn't mean that it would make sense in yours, and that's okay. I know me personally, comparison has really, it's something that I still do, and I don't have all the answers here, but I'm not trying to. That's a part of why I wanted to do this. Again, I want you guys to be involved in this as much as possible, so if we could share tips, hype each other up, constantly support each other. That is what I want from this podcast, especially as a woman, comparing yourself with beauty standards that change all the time, and then you throw race into it and region and all those things, they affect it depending on where you live, who you're surrounded by, your culture. The beauty standards are always different, and that is why they are beauty standards. We are not standard, we are not boring, we are not normal on this channel, we are exceptional. Have you ever been in a toxic relationship or been in a toxic situation, mentally abusive, physically abusive, something that kind of changes your perception on what normal is and what you should be comfortable with and what your boundaries should be, or not having any boundaries at all? Well, I have as well, and it really does alter your perception of people's intentions, whether they're good or bad. You kind of are always on guard, pretty anxious, and honestly, it can turn the most calm, logical person into a very insecure, anxious person, and that happened to me. I wanted to talk about this a little bit and what has helped me be more self-aware and heal from that. And this could come off bad, but sometimes your ego is not a bad thing. Sometimes ego is a good thing, and honestly, how embarrassed I would be and feel after lashing out or reverting back to old patterns like toxic behavior when I was with somebody that was healthy. The embarrassment alone would make me not want to do that anymore. It's okay to have a bit of an ego as a human. It's not okay when that becomes more important than the well-being of the people around you. But just like how you can use your ego to hurt people, you can also use it as something to make you treat them better by knowing, like, I don't want to be that kind of person. Like, I don't want to come off like that. I don't want to react like that. I don't want to be embarrassed again for screaming and yelling over something so little that doesn't require screaming and yelling. For a long time, if you deal with a relationship that is toxic or abusive, you get to the point where you don't really ever feel heard or seen, and so you try to force that on the other person, and you realize like they are never going to hear you because they don't want to, not because they can't, not because you're not making sense, but you don't think about it like that. Unlearning that can be a roller coaster because you go from being that person in the relationship that knows that's not good and okay logically, and then you get into something healthy and you look at yourself and realize you're now that person, and it's like, how did I get here? I was so against that and so aware of that in somebody else. Like, how did I get to the point where now I'm doing that to someone that I care about? And unfortunately, it does sometimes take being in a healthy relationship and hurting somebody that you care about to realize that. And it's not something that anybody looks forward to. Obviously, you don't want to be the person in the wrong in a situation, but it's necessary sometimes. And as long as you're with somebody that is patient with you and gives you grace. There's always two sides to it, and being aware of that and comfortable with the fact that you can say, hey, I was wrong. I should have gone about that in a certain way, or I should have handled that differently, and I shouldn't have taken my anger out on you. So something that has really helped me with the whole comparison aspect is if I feel like I'm in a bad headspace, I know that about myself. Instead of trying to push through it and be upset that something is affecting me, I just let it. Like the whole let them theory, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. If you want me to talk more about it, I can in another episode. Just let me know in the comments below. But it doesn't just apply to people, it applies to everything. Like if something is bothering you, let it. Feel it. Let it bother, because if you push it away, you're not going to be able to acknowledge it and handle it and work through it. And I think that's a huge thing in every aspect of life. People love to ignore what's going on and just kind of like, I mean, I've been there myself, where you just kind of want to stay naive because ignorance is bliss, but also like, okay, you just want a life full of bliss. You don't want to learn anything. This is probably going to end up being a shorter episode, and honestly, I feel like I was all over the place and kind of rambling, but like I said, I had 30 minutes. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in yet again on the second episode. I'm really proud that we're actually doing this. I'll see you guys in the next episode, and remember to keep being extraordinary.